Hi everybody, this is Alchemist2 and I'm back again with another series review. I just recently watched the latest episode of Orphan Black. It was called The Stigmata of Progress. And in this, now I understand why Felix was the way he was. He had a revelation in a prior episode and he said he wanted to discover his origins. And that makes sense because the other characters are wondering about themselves as well. And we get to meet his biological sister Adele, who is American. And I don't know what state she's from. I'm assuming Georgia, because she sort of has a Georgian accent. She has a southerner twang. And I know that twang anywhere. I have relatives that are in Georgia and Florida and South Carolina, and I love the Carolina twang because it's my home away from home. But she she mistakes Sarah for a drug dealer, and I thought, oh, that explains a lot of the behavior that we had seen before with Felix. And she even asks him, "How high are you right now?" And he says, "On a scale, pretty." At the tippy top of being just tripping. But it was actually a very intriguing episode because Sarah goes into trying to get the worm removed, and Allison and her husband, they dig up the body that they had in their garage, and he doesn't want to go along with it, but they know that's the only way that they can get this this bio mechanism to Cassima and have her do some experimentation on it and see what's really behind it, because it's organic, but it's also mechanical. So I'm saying it's a biomechanical entity. Kind of like a nanobot, I guess you could say. It's sort of along the same lines. That kind of reminds me of some other sci-fi stories along the same kind of ilk. And funny thing happens when they're excavating. First of all, he says, "This is a haywire plan, Addison. You just know you can't." And she says, "Oh, come on, suck it up." And they go ahead and start using a jackhammer that they borrowed to exhume the body in their garage, and it is just absolutely comical. And Helena starts to wonder what's happening. She tells her sestra about her twins, and she says, "I don't want them to grow up like me," and she says it's understandable. We get another side of the story with Rachel. Sorry, I had to think because I thought it's a biblical name, and Rachel, in biblical understanding, Rachel is a very important character because she was the one that Jacob loved and hated, and he hated Leah. So I'm wondering if there's a biblical connection with that. In this case, Rachel is hated by her mother, and her mother says, "You're an absolute disappointment." I thought, ooh, yeah, that's very harsh. And one of the male clones is with, and of course he's a mama's boy, so he goes along with whatever Mommy Dearest says. And he leaves the table and says, you've upset her. Well, she didn't have any right to say what she did. Maybe it was just brutal to watch, and just it took me aback quite a bit. And Felix's little foray into his origins is interesting. And of course Cassima is still coughing. I thought, oh no, why? And Kira, we learned a little bit of something about Kira in this episode that I thought was absolutely fascinating and terrifying at the same time. She has the sight. She is gifted. She's psychic. And she's talking to Cassima, and she's just sort of in this kind of transcendental state. And then Cassima brings her to herself, and she said, were you asleep there?" "Yeah, I was I was having a dream. You set Mother on fire, and all the sisters were there, and Cosima says, well, we wouldn't do that on purpose. And she said, no, you had to. She was changing. What led to it? Cosima queries. And Kara says, I don't know, I couldn't see. And I thought, oh, dear God. This will not end well. But it just leads to more questions that add to more questions and more questions. And will the questions ever end? I know they're coming closer to figuring out what Beth Childs actually knew, because I know I said first season, I always had a feeling that there was something more to what was going on than just these clones. I thought, well, that's strange. What's the deal with that? And then you delve in deeper, and the deeper you get, it's just like they said, down the rabbit hole we go. It's exactly like the Matrix. And once you see a world in Technicolor, you can't go back to black and white. That's the analogy that makes the most sense. But holy crud, there's just so much going on, and it just makes it all the more intriguing. I think I want to see what happens next. I'm excited and petrified at the same time, but still, that's why I enjoy this series as much as I do. And that's all I have to report on Orphan Black for now. Live long, prosper. Ciao tutti!